Hello friends, welcome to my channel. This is Abhirami and I am here to discuss with you about today's topic, that is the heart and the pericardium. So this is the start of the chapter 18. So let's get into it now. So today we are going to be talking mainly about the pericardium. So the pericardium, as you can see, is made up of a fibrous layer and a serous layer. Okay, so it is a fibroserous sac which encloses the heart and also the greater vessels. Okay, and the pericardium and the heart together are present in the middle mediastinum. Okay, mediastinum is the space between the two lungs, so they are present in the middle mediastinum, and the fibrous layer is the outer part of the pericardium. Okay, so this is the fibrous pericardium, and the fibrous pericardium encloses the heart and also the vessels entering or leaving it. During the development of the heart, it invaginates itself into the serous sac without a breach in its continuity, and the last part to enter is the atria. Okay, so the heart develops and it invaginates into the serous sac. Okay, so serous sac means the serous pericardium. So it invaginates into the serous pericardium, and the last part to enter is the atria. So the fibrous pericardium is the outer part, and then the serous pericardium is there, and the serous pericardium is made up of two other layers, that is the parietal layer and a visceral layer. The parietal layer is present in the outer part and the visceral layer is present on the inner part. Okay, so this is the parietal layer and this is the visceral layer on the inner part. So now the parietal layer, it fuses with the fibrous pericardium. Okay, so these two are fused, parietal layer and the fibrous pericardium, they fuse with each other, and the visceral layer fuses with the walls of the heart to form the epicardium. Okay, so the visceral layer is over here and fuses with the wall of the heart to form the epicardium. Okay, so now let's talk deeply about the fibrous pericardium. So the fibrous pericardium is made up of the fibrous tissue and it is a conical sac. Okay, and the parietal pericardium, which is the outer part of the serous layer, so the parietal pericardium fuses with the fibrous pericardium. And there are 6 noteworthy points over here. The fibrous pericardium protects the heart against the shock of sudden overfilling. Okay, so the heart is not damaged because of sudden overfilling because of the fibrous pericardium. And the apex of the fibrous pericardium, that is this part, okay, the apex lies at the level of the sternal angle and it is blunt. And the apex also is attached to the pretracheal fascia and the roots of the great vessels. It allows the roots of the great vessels to pass through it. Okay, sternal angle is a very important landmark, and the apex of the pericardium lies at the sternal angle over here. Okay, so now let's talk about the base of the fibrous pericardium. So this is the base of the fibrous pericardium, and the base of the fibrous pericardium, as you can see, is fused with the diaphragm. Okay, it is fused with the central tendon of the diaphragm. If you remember from my previous videos, I would have mentioned that the vena cava opening is present in the central tendon of the diaphragm. So this is the vena cava opening, and the base and the vena cava opening is present at the central tendon of the diaphragm. Okay, and the base in quadrupeds or in lower mammals, in the base will actually be separated from the diaphragm by an infracardiac bursa. So bursa is a fluid-filled cavity, and so there will be a bursa over here between the diaphragm and the base, so that lubrication is present between them. Okay, and then now let's talk about the anterior portion of the fibrous pericardium. So the anterior portion of the fibrous pericardium is attached to the upper end and lower end of the sternum through weak sternopericardial ligaments. Okay, so sternopericardial ligaments are very weak, and the pericardium is attached to the upper and lower end of the body of the sternum through the sternopericardial ligaments. Okay, and posteriorly, the fibrous pericardium, it is related to the esophagus with its plexus of nerves, and then it is related to the principal bronchi and also the descending thoracic aorta. Okay, and laterally on each side, the fibrous pericardium is related to the mediastinal pleura, and then the mediastinal surface of the lungs, and then the phrenic nerve and the pericardiophonic vessels. Okay, so these 4 things, that is the mediastinal pleura, mediastinal surface of the lungs, phrenic nerve and the pericardiophonic vessels, all 4 are related to the sides of the fibrous pericardium. Okay, so these are the 6 noteworthy points of the fibrous pericardium. Hope you took it down in the notes. Now let's talk about the serous pericardium. So as we all know, the serous pericardium has 2 layers and both layers are lined by mesothelium. The 2 layers are the outer parietal pericardium and inner visceral pericardium. The parietal pericardium fuses with the fibrous pericardium and the visceral pericardium forms the epicardium of the heart. Okay, and the visceral pericardium is not connected to the heart at certain regions. This is because the greater vessels enter or leave that region, and that region is called the cardiac grooves. Okay, the cardiac grooves are present at the positions where the greater vessels enter or leave the heart, and this is also where the visceral pericardium is not attached to the heart. So the greater vessels include the 4 pulmonary veins, okay, and the pulmonary trunk, which divides into the pulmonary arteries, and then the aorta, and the superior vena cava over here, and the inferior vena cava over here. Okay, so these are the greater vessels. And the last thing is the pericardial cavity. The pericardial cavity, as you can see over here, is in the parietal pericardium and the visceral pericardium, and there is a fluid over here called the serous fluid. So the serous fluid acts as a lubricant for the opposite surfaces of the heart, and also it freely permits movements of the heart. Okay, so yeah, so in this diagram, this is the heart muscle that is present inside the visceral pericardium. Okay, and this is the outline of the sternum in this diagram. Okay, so now let's talk about the contents present in the pericardium. So we know that obviously heart and its vessels are present inside the pericardium, and the aorta, the pulmonary trunk, okay, and then the terminating part of the pulmonary veins which carry blood from the lungs to the heart, and the pulmonary trunk actually carries blood away from the heart to the lungs, and then the terminating part of the inferior vena cava is present, which carries blood from the body to the heart, and the superior vena cava is also present. The lower part of the superior vena cava is also present inside the pericardium, and it carries blood from the upper part of the body to the heart. So these are the 6 things that are present inside the pericardium. Okay, so now let's talk about the arterial supply to the pericardium. So the fibrous pericardium and the parietal pericardium are supplied by the internal thoracic artery, descending thoracic aorta, and the musculophrenic vessels. Okay, so these 3 are supplying the fibrous pericardium and the parietal pericardium. So now let's talk about the nerve supply to the pericardium. The fibrous pericardium and the parietal pericardium are supplied by the phrenic nerve. Okay, and these 2, that is the fibrous pericardium and the parietal pericardium, are sensitive to pain. Okay, and the visceral pericardium is supplied by the autonomic nerves of the heart, and it is not sensitive to pain. And pericarditis, that means the inflammation of the pericardium. So pericarditis, the pain in the pericarditis is only because of the parietal pericardium. The heart pain or angina originates from the heart muscles and its vessels. Okay, that is all about the nerve supply to the pericardium. Now let's talk about the clinical anatomy related to the pericardium. The only thing here is that collection of the fluid in the pericardial cavity. So if the fluid gets collected in the pericardial cavity, then this is called as the pericardial effusion. Okay, so pericardial effusion can be resolved in 2 manners. So the first way is to puncture with a needle at the 5th or 6th intercostal space on the left side. Okay, or the second way is to puncture the space between the xiphoid process and the left costal margin. Okay, we have to do this with the needle directed downwards, forwards, and to the left. Okay, so that is all about the clinical anatomy of the pericardium. So that is the end of this session. Thank you for listening to me, and if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe and comment on it. And if you have doubts on bones of the upper limb chapter 2, you can visit my previous videos, and the next video is going to be about the heart. Okay, thank you.